now I was trying to say council member, but you graduated. You
Well, yeah,
represented us at a higher level now,
Yeah, I'm in the
so
state
which I am
assembly,
so
yeah.
proud. And so I understand you got to go back to the state assembly tonight, huh?
Yeah, I'm going back to Sacramento. I go there every week, basically, usually Monday through Thursday. I'm there, and we're going to have a very busy week ahead. Hundreds of bills are coming through the legislature. We're voting on them, trying to do our best to bring resources here to San Jose.
Should we be encouraged about what's happening in Sacramento now?
Absolutely. I think Sacramento, particularly in terms of what's happening in D.C., I think Sacramento, California is getting a lot of things right. And so it's a great place to be able to continue my service to the city of San Jose.
Okay.
But I think we should be encouraged, absolutely.
Because, at some point, some things, the way that things are talked about, we don't know whether to be really, really worried or just encouraged. So I'm glad to hear that you say it's time we can still be encouraged.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But today, I know this is such an honorable occasion to come and honor the. And I just, in the last few years, have gotten so acquainted with the memorial service.
Yeah.
And it's, I'm actually honored to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to work at Oakhill. So,
that's right.
So I'm so glad that, because I see you here every year.
That's right.
So I'm glad that you feel the same way.
Absolutely. I come here every year. It's a very small way for me and so many others in our community to honor those that gave their lives for our nation. And this is a beautiful place, a beautiful setting. We heard from our keynote speaker, the general.
I mean, he was so inspiring. I was like,
it was one of the greatest speeches I've actually ever heard.
Yeah.
And for him to say repeatedly that this is the best, amongst the best settings he's ever been for this kind of ceremony must be a great pride to Oakhill and to all of us.
Right? They do a lot to make sure it's the best.
I know. And this is my home. This is our Memorial Park. And to hear him say that was a lot of, I felt pride when he said that, right?
So I want to thank you again. We're going to let you know. I know you're a busy person, so thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting us here. It's a beautiful ceremony. I know that afterwards they have hot dogs and refreshments.
Hot dogs and
I think what that tells everyone is you can still have your barbecue, you can still enjoy the day, to spend a little bit of time, honor those that gave their lives for us.
Exactly, that's what I feel. So what a great,
thank you.
Great so thank you again.
Thanks.
Okay. This is, of course, the ex-Vice Mayor, Rosa Herrera, is here with us.
Former Vice Mayor.
Former, I say former.
Sounds better.
She's also a veteran, and she was one of the people that carried the flag today, so we're honored to have her here, honoring this Memorial Day. So what did you think about today as opposed? I know you're here every year, so what do you see different or more?
Well, it's always really special to me to come here. First of all, I really appreciate that Oakhill does this. Dignity Memorial. They host this for the city, and I appreciate all the veterans group, the United Veterans Council, and the American Legion, all those service organizations, the Gold Star Moms, the Blue Star Moms, all of the veterans that come. But the most important thing about this day is we're honoring the sacrifice that our soldiers, men and women, have made throughout the years our country's been in existence. Those that gave their lives. That's the difference about Memorial Day. We are honoring those that gave their all. They paid the ultimate price to protect us and to make sure that we have freedom in this country. And what really, an event that just happened in the last few days that most of your folks would know about is we had a terrible incident up in Portland, Oregon, where we had a young woman, a Muslim woman wearing a hijab who was attacked. And, three men came to her rescue and they were killed trying to save her. They were killed in Portland just a few days ago, and one of them was a decorated veteran. Military veteran, and what that shows you is even when our veterans come home, they are still standing up for freedom. They're still standing up for rights. They're fighting for us. And this young woman is alive today because one of our veterans is willing to put his life on the line to protect her freedom.
That is awesome. Oh my God. Well, I come every year, and every year I'm more and more moved by what's happening. I'm more and more impressed and proud because I hear different stories, and it just makes you even more grounded as being an American citizen.
Well, some people think Memorial Day is a day to go shopping, and it's really about the sacrifice that those who have paid the ultimate price, and a recognition that only 7.7%.
I know, I was startled by that.
Of our people serve in the military. It used to be 1%, so it's actually gone down some. That's our all-volunteer force, and we need to be really grateful for what they do because, we need to remember them.
And really take care of them when they come home.
We need to take care of them when they come home, and we need to honor their memory because unfortunately in this world, there's always going to be times when we need to stand up and protect our liberty, protect our freedom. And we need those brave folks who are willing to make that commitment to our country. We need them to continue to do that. So I'm very proud to be here. I'll be here every year. I'll always be honoring
I'll be here every year.
I will be here every year.
But it was great to see you again. And
thank you so much.
Thank you for, because Dignity is really committed to veterans.
Yes.
They will do whatever it takes to make sure the veterans are taken care of. So
that
makes me proud too.
They really do a great job with this Memorial Day too.
They make sure that everything is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just really proud to be part of the team.
Well, I'm proud you're here. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for letting me share.
It's just such honor to be present to this. So I just want to get your views on it, and
I look forward to this event.
Ask a personal question afterwards, but
yeah, I look forward to this event every year.
Yeah.
I was able to sit next to the young man who had such a moving story, and I had actually heard it from him right before it was told publicly.
Oh, really?
The Superman song coming on, just as he was able to stand again after all this incredibly difficult rehabilitation. What an incredibly moving account. And he had lost so much. He lost his first wife as a result of his injuries and everything.
Really?
And then he just got his life back together and moved on. And it just inspires you to know there are people in this country who are able to make that happen.
I said, what? Anybody listening to that story, no matter what they're going through, they say, well, shoot, I can't give up.
Yeah, Jordan is his name. He's a wonderful man.
Jordan.
Yep.
Okay, great. Well, now, in terms of what do you see? Are you encouraged about what's going on in the political scene in San Jose, as the mayor of San Jose, with all the incidents that are happening? I don't want to name them all, but we all know what they are. Are you encouraged by what's happening?
What incidents that help me understand?
In terms of the immigration, in terms of the, with the city, it's retirement and the salaries and cutting back and increases and, it's a lot of serious things happening.
Yeah, but what's different in San Jose from the rest of the country at a time when this nation's been so deeply divided over the last several months with this administration, we see San Jose is very different. We see people coming together in a way that we never have. Tackling a pension reform battle that we had waged for half a decade. 11 unions came together. We negotiated a settlement. We took it to voters. The voters approved it. We had such an enormous challenge trying to determine how we're going to lift living standards in our valley. And so we came together with mayors from throughout the valley, and 6 cities all at once decided to increase their minimum wage together. We had people coming together from throughout the valley to pass a historic $6.5 billion transportation measure, to pass a $1 billion affordable housing measure. What we're seeing, I think, is a very different community than what we read about or see in the nightly news throughout this country. And I think we have an opportunity to really provide a model for the rest of the country.
So you've heard it here on Peninsula View, a very local station, big time news with our awesome mayor of San Jose.
It's a pleasure.
So really, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me back.
Beautiful event. It was good to see you.
Truly.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
Good to see you again. Bye-bye now.
Jordan, thank you. I was sitting there as they introduced you, and I got scared. It was just like, what? It was scary, even listening. So
what happened to me may have been scary, but I'm not anybody to be scared of.
No. It was scary because it was kind of like what people go through in the war.
Right.
And the circumstance and the happenstance and the miracle of them being alive.
Right.
It just came, like all of just a rush of that. And then listening to you, I was even more moved. So thank you for sharing your story, and I am so thankful for your survival.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, can you
continued survival?
Continued survival. What do you mean continued survival?
Well, because for me at least, a lot of people that have been injured like me, they don't see themselves progressing anymore. And
oh, okay.
I don't see myself stopping progressing. I'll keep fighting until I'm normal and back to how I used to be.
Wow. Now, do you share your story with a lot of other veterans?
As often as I can.
I mean,
And with just the general civilian public as well.
oh yeah, because I can see anybody. It made me think because anytime I have these trials and tribulations personally, I haven't been to war.
And we all have them.
But it's like, what are you talking about? Stop. Forget that, you know?
Right.
And I just, whatever it was that deep in, because it comes from the soul, your heart. Somewhere deep inside you said, it ain't gonna end like this, right?
No, exactly.
Woo, that's inspiring.
And I've been to that point where I had a doctor tell me, you're never gonna walk again. And I said, you can get out of my room.
You get out right now, right?
You can't tell me what I can't do.
And how old were you when all this happened?
I was 25 when I got shot.
Oh my, 25. That's amazing. And you say you didn't want any negativity around you, can't
No.
serve you, nothing.
No. That's where I was. I feel like I was very blessed and fortunate that I had such a good support network with my family.
You do.
So, you got to see my wife. She's the one that sang today.
Oh, she's awesome. She's awesome.
And then I got my son
That's
here
your
with
son? Oh, hi. He's shy, huh?
Yeah, he's a little shy.
Well, you know what? You inspired me,
Thank you.
really. I work here at Oakhill, and I'm a service provider, service person for people who want to do their pre-planning. And I sometimes get really like, this is too hard, I can't do it. But I listened to you today, and I was like, wow, if he didn't let that stop, I shouldn't be letting anything stop me here. Thank you. And I know you'd be an asset to any young person. You know, even the old person. I say young people because in today's environment, young people think because things have happened, this is the best it can get.
Right.
They don't see the future as a possibility.
It's hard to see.
Yeah.
When you're younger, at least looking back from my perspective, 30 is ancient. And now I'm 30, and that happened so fast. And now I can start to see a little bit more of the future that I want.
Yeah.
Because I can see more of my past.
This happened when you were 25.
25.
And you're just 5 years ago.
Just 5 years
Oh
ago.
my.
Yeah, December 2011. So.
Wow.
Just over 5 years.
Well, I'm so happy, and thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, no problem.
And it was just an honor to meet you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah. We have a veteran from the Vietnam War, and I wanted to speak with him because it's so important that we talk about that. And what is your name, sir?
Antonio Gregory.
Tony?
Antonio Gregory.
Antonio Gregory.
Yes.
Antonio Gregory. So thank you so much for agreeing to sit down with me.
You're welcome.
And I saw you carrying the wreath for the Vietnam War, and I said, oh, I wonder. And yeah, you are.
Yes, the one I was carrying was for the Purple Heart.
The Purple Heart.
When I was in Vietnam, I received 3 of those.
You received 3?
Yes.
Oh my God, well, I just want to thank you so much for your service, even though you didn't get the honor and the privilege of how we received you when you came back as a whole of the United States.
Right.
I just applaud your courage in going anyway, because you could have did like a lot of people were like in conflict. They left and went to Canada. It was a
Right.
big uproar across the nation. So how do you feel now that that part is over, but are you still left with remnants of that division, what it calls in terms of the Vietnam War?
Because of that, it's very few people that I mentioned that I was in Vietnam.
Oh, okay.
Because, believe it or not, there's a lot of people still react to that.
Oh.
And the only thing that I appreciate the way they're treating the veterans now as they come over. You know, I think that's very nice. It was a great thing to do. But the era of Vietnam, veterans when they came over was totally different.
It was, I remember.
And that was a time during the 60s when it wasn't that great for people of color.
It wasn't great at all. That's when all the outbursts were going on, the different demonstrations,
Yes.
and that was a whole civil rights movement
Yes,
in that time.
dogs and
So you were pretty brave, you know, because you had to deal with that, plus your own people, plus your own countrymen, plus, you know, just standing up like I am a soldier, and you know.
Well, see, what happened, my father always told us that we were Americans, and so it's an honor to serve this country. And so we grew up with that. And so when I had a chance, when I graduated out of high school, I joined the Marine Corps.
You joined the Marine Corps, one of my favorite parts of the service. The Marine Corps is my first, yes. And how long were you in the service?
I was in there 6 years.
Really?
Yes.
Well, thank you that you didn't get injured, or did you?
Oh, yes, I did. That's why I got 3 Purple Hearts.
Oh my God, that's what that means. I'm so sorry, I'm dumb when it comes to that. I apologize. So, how are you doing? And
I'm doing fine, you know. I can't complain.
Right.
See, the simple fact that because I am here, it's because of the grace of God.
yes,
And I'm here for a purpose to do whatever His call it is for me to do. Because He saved me for a reason.
he did. He
I had a
did.
lot of friends didn't make it.
Yeah, that's how I noticed. This was the most moving keynote speaker I've ever seen here.
Right.
I mean, he was so touching. It was unbelievable.
Right.
So it was really great to be here. I'm so honored when I come. I work here, so I'm pleased to be a part of what we do in
Right.
terms of a job, but also what we provide. We have a lot of respect for veterans here.
Right.
You know, we do whatever we can to support them. So it just made me feel good today too, even better than I knew I was going to feel good, but even better because of the people that came today. And it looks like more people are here.
Yes.
So the word's getting around. You know, instead of the barbecues and stuff, you can come here first.
Right.
And honor those who, you know, made it possible for us to be free.
But you know, there's one thing that I would like to be done in schools is teach the children more about Vietnam. Most kids don't even know it even exists.
Great idea. Great. So thank you so much, and thank you for taking the time to come and talk to me.
Okay, thank you very much
Yeah.
for choosing me to talk.
Okay, Mr. Brown, as the MC for this event, you did a marvelous job, by the
thank
way.
you.
It was
Thank you.
wonderful. I've been here when Andy, for the last couple of years, have been doing it, and I tell you, it's great. And it's like a carbon copy of it. Just so you guys know what you're doing, right?
Yes.
You
Yeah, we've been through this
do.
a few times before.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
kind of, I say, wow, it's exactly like that.
Yeah.
So, but this year, when you were introducing Jordan, it just kind of got me because
Yeah.
it was like so emotional.
Well, it's
And,
an emotional story.
Yeah, and I just, anybody listening to that should not complain about anything ever in life. That's
I
it's
agree.
Like, it's like, you better shut up and get on with it.
You know, we have a world champion boxer named Andre Ward, and I introduced him to Jordan when Jordan was a patient at the hospital. And Jordan had a 3D print of his skull, what it looked like with the hole. And the hole's about this big in the side of his skull. And when Andre Ward saw that, he just looked at it and he said, you know what, I'll never complain about getting hit hard again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. And I didn't realize he was so young till he came and sat down.
Yeah.
And he's only 30.
Yeah.
I said, you know, the inspiration for young kids, because they don't see the future. Something bad happens to them, they think their future is gone.
Right.
So I was glad to hear that he does talk to teenagers. And,
He does,
you know,
yeah.
like, especially, I used to work a lot with youth at risk. But this event today was very inspiring. He had really good speakers, and the performance was great, and it seemed like it was more people.
Right.
I think the word is getting around, don't you?
I think so. I know we worked really hard getting the word out. 2 days ago, I did a paid Facebook post.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so we did that just to help get the word out. And I didn't look at the numbers, but it was well in the thousands of the people who had opened it and viewed it. And then I know that we went to the VA. You know, I'm a member of the Veterans Focus Council at the VA Palo Alto.
Okay.
And so we have a board meeting once a month. And at each of those board meetings for the last 3 months, I've mentioned it. And so we had a lot of folks from the VA here. And then, of course, we brought the active duty component, which, you know, we haven't really had that in the past before. So
Well, it's really, I come, this is my 4th year, and so it looks like, I had the feeling there was more people, which I'm telling people about it all the time too, because I didn't know about it myself until I started working here, and then came over and I said, oh, what? It was like so emotional, and seeing the tributes and the people that come, and just face to face with, you know, the people who gave their lives for this, for us.
Yep.
And so I just thank you. It was really a great ceremony.
It was
And it should
completely
be
my
more.
honor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Memorial Day is an important holiday.
It
you know,
is.
It's you know, it's really celebrating why we have the life we do, and you know, so a lot of folks will say, you know, Memorial Day is about the veteran, and it is. It's about the veteran that paid the ultimate. But when you really think about it, it's a celebration of why we have the life we do.
Exactly. And also, you know, it gives you like a sense of honor and privilege, and like thank God I'm here. This is my country.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings it all home.
Right.
Because I know I had uncles in the service. We all had been hit by a loss of service people.
Sure.
So it just, and we kind of forget. You know, we forget what happened.
Right. I mean,
It's painful.
Yeah.
And I love your keynote speaker. He was just bringing it really, the points he made were perfect, you know, to make us all kind of realize that it is a group, an individual, a group, a city, a country. It just kind of went on and on and on to really have us acknowledge that we are very honored.
But I think it was made better because he's a master of the subject matter. You know, he lived it, he fought it, he talked about the over 100 Marines that died in the battle where he got the award. And when you have a Memorial Day ceremony, it's one thing to have the mayor, it's another thing to have elected officials in there, but when you have people who have actually experienced it, myself, I grew up in southern Louisiana as a young boy, a small town of 2,500 people, and Memorial Day was huge. The Green Berets were founded from my hometown.
Really?
And because it was a French-speaking town. And in 1958...
I'm from Louisiana, too.
What part?
Lake Providence.
Okay. You know where Breaux Bridge is?
No, I don't.
St. Martinville near Lafayette. So I'm Cajun country.
Lafayette,
So I'm out in that swampy area just east of Lafayette.
Yeah, we're the swampy people.
So in 1958, when we were moving into Vietnam and we were replacing the French, we needed French-speaking soldiers and special advisors. So they went and they recruited the very first Green Berets from southern Louisiana.
Well, see, that we don't even know that.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
But see, I know it because I lived it, and I grew up hearing the story of my cousin. Here's one that'll send chills down your spine. Do you want to hear a great story?
Okay, another great story.
I have a cousin who was killed before I was born, and his name was Joseph Eddie Terrido, and he was given the Silver Star posthumously for action in the Philippines. And I always heard the little bit of the story, that my family would pass on, but I wanted to know more. And when I joined the Marines, I really wanted to know more, especially when I went to the Philippines. And so I researched him and I found out what his unit was, and I wrote a letter to their association. And a man by the name of Cesar Abate wrote me a letter back. And he was actually from California, from Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
He wrote me a letter and he says, I knew your cousin well. He said, we called him Frenchie because French was his first language, and he was killed on such and such date, and here's a picture of him, and he sent me a picture, and he told me the whole story. And then once I learned the whole story and I figured out which battle he was in, a memory sparked for me, and I remember talking to my wife's grandfather, who was a prisoner of war in World War II.
Oh, really?
And he's Filipino. And I went back to him, and we called him Lolo. And I went back and said, Lolo, weren't you rescued in this particular battle? He goes, yes. He goes, the 111th Airborne came in, they rescued me, my brother had been executed the day before, I was slotted for execution, but these soldiers came in and rescued us. Well, my cousin died in that battle rescuing my wife's grandfather.
Oh, really?
And that was before he got married and had children. And so I believe in that connection, and I believe in God's hand. But so I grew up with all of that, and as a young boy in the Boy Scouts, I mean, every Memorial Day we were out putting flags.
Yeah.
Now in Louisiana we did the Confederate flag and the American flag, and because we have soldiers that were Americans that fought on both sides, and so we respected what flag they served under. And so if they were a Confederate soldier, we put the Confederate flag. If they were a Northern soldier, we put the Northern flag. But every Memorial Day we went out and did that, and then we had the parades and we had all of that. So I've been very blessed. I was raised into it, and I grew up into it. But what this event does is, for those who haven't experienced it and didn't grow up, it's an educational opportunity.
It is.
And that's why when they asked me to be the MC, I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'd be honored to.
Well, you brought so much passion.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, and then,
Well, and like I said, so with a general, he knows that subject matter, and then me as the MC, I know the subject matter. When I spoke about Jordan, that was not in my script. I just decided to do it on the story.
It didn't look like it. I was like, what? You kind of like, who is this person?
I just felt moved to talk about Jordan.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was wonderful.
I spent almost, I'd say 3 or 4 days a week visiting Jordan while he was in the hospital, and we would bring him food. We got to know his mother.
Why did you happen to know him?
Because the VA had basically asked me to talk to him because when some of the young soldiers come in and when they have PTSD or other injuries, the VA notifies me about them and says, hey, we got this new soldier who just came in, or a new sailor, or a new Marine. Here's his status. And sometimes it's a PTSD issue where they want me to try to talk to the person. Other times it's just that they have family issues that, it might be a family from out of town, then the family can't visit, so they want someone to bond with them.
Yes.
And so it's what we call affairs of the heart. And so the VA can fix the bones, they can fix the muscles, they can fix the skin. But when it comes to matters of the heart, they reach out to folks like us in the community and they say, hey, can you work with this guy? Maybe his wife left him, or maybe and I'm not talking about Jordan right now, but just in general, maybe the wife left, or maybe the mother is a single mom. And a good example is this one Marine I helped. His name is Jared Hale, and his mom was a nursing student from Arkansas, a single mother, and she couldn't afford to come out here and spend all the time that she wanted to with him.
Right.
So the VA had asked me to befriend him, talk to him, get to know him, help him out, and so I did. And in his particular case, he had severe PTSD. He had served with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, the Dark Horse Battalion, and they had the highest casualties, in Iraq and Afghanistan during their deployments. And he had lost 25 of his friends during his last deployment. And so I also served with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. And so when I had walked in to talk to him, he wasn't talking to the doctors and nurses, but I went in and I said, hey, Jared, I served with 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. And he goes, oh, you did? And then we just instantly started talking.
Oh my God, that was instant.
So that was the key. And sometimes it's not me, sometimes it's someone else, but the VA works very hard in trying to find those folks that can help with the matters of the heart.
Well, since I've been working here, I do presentations to veterans. The one thing I found out is that veterans honor each other as brothers, no matter where. They don't even have to know each other. But even as I say brother, they treat the women like they're just like one of the boys,
Absolutely. I met my wife in the middle of the Mojave Desert training for the first Gulf War.
Really?
And she was a Navy corpsman, I was a Marine sergeant, and we were doing live fire CAX, combined arms exercise. And I was introduced to her by a chaplain, and 27 years later, here we are. So yeah, you're right, but it doesn't matter what your gender is, it doesn't matter what your age is, it doesn't matter what generation or what war you served in, or even if you served in peacetime. As soon as you find out that person's a veteran, there's a brotherhood.
Yes,
now,
there's a connection.
When you find out the person was a fellow Marine, for example, it's an even tighter brotherhood. Then it's family. And the general here, he's a Marine, I'm a Marine, we're brothers. And as soon as you meet, you know that. He sees my pin here, he knows I'm a Marine, I know he's a Marine, and that's all we need to know.
Yeah. That was
Take care, bye-bye.
That was what you call a down-to-earth, no holds barred keynote, and we're not used to hearing that. And even though the keynotes are great, but yours were like put it at a personal level where you need to think about this and get a hold of who are you in the area of commitment and loyalty, and this is what all these people had lives and families and so things.
They need to understand what they have.
So what did you think about today?
Oh, I thought it was a wonderful day. The weather's nice, the crowd's nice. It could be in a more beautiful location.
I heard you say that. I like that.
And, just reconnected to these guys here with us currently now. It's inspirational.
Yeah, it's inspiration.
We had a good visit again to California.
Now, where are you from originally?
Well, I grew up in a little town called McRae, Georgia. And I live now in Charleston, South Carolina. I lived 14 14 years in Louisiana.
Louisiana,
I used to live in New Orleans. And,
New Orleans.
I had a good time. I know all about the Cajuns and all about the interesting things about crawfish and all that in New Orleans.
Crawdads.
my hometown is the crawfish capital of the world, and
right.
we have the big festival there every year.
Well, we had a good time today, and I was just listening to your point. The great thing about the military, I always say, we just green men. We're all alike. And, that's the experience I had in the military.
Well, you did an excellent job in terms of letting us share in that and be reminded of that.
It was fun to be here.
Huh?
It was fun to be here.
Yeah, it was? Oh, good, good,
We had a
good.
good day.
They usually have, after this, they usually have a really good band over there. I think it's the same band that's here. And they have hot dogs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They really make it a family time so people can come here, and they have other ceremonies that's going on.
Yeah.
So you can come here and spend the day and just have a really great day honoring those who
Well, you know, you have
served.
14,000 flags out here, and that means a lot.
When you said about 7%,
0.7.
0.7, that's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. And that's where we're spoiled in this country.
Wow.
Most people don't serve.
Yeah.
And, you know, except if you look back at World War II and the Civil War, you know, the numbers who served have been small in proportion to the population.
Yeah. Well, these guys do a great job, huh?
Well, I'll tell you about the numbers, the statistics. So last week I gave a speech at Diablo Valley High School in Concord, and we were talking about a Marine who went to school there who had died in Afghanistan, and there was a monument being dedicated to his memorial. And one of the things I did before speaking to them was I did some numbers, some demographics on it, and there's 44 million students in public schools in the United States. 21 million graduate to go to college. You know how many people become Marines every year?
How many?
17,000. So
What?
21 million people become college students. 17,000 become Marines. The Marine Corps is 183,000 people strong, which is smaller than most towns in California.
Wow.
So when you start thinking about how small of a group it is, and then look at the battalion, look at 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, the Dark Horse Battalion has 1,200 men in it. Most high schools in California have more than 1,200 people.
Wow.
That's what they went into Fallujah with. Of course, they had other units joining them, but when they went into Singh in Afghanistan, 1,200 Marines.
1,200.
And they came back with 25 were killed, and a few more died after they got back stateside from their injuries, or sadly suicide, which is a problem with veterans that we're facing today.
Yeah, with all the...
But they had over 400 Purple Hearts out of 1,200 people.
Unbelievable.
Over 25% of them had Purple Hearts. They were wounded. And so when you think about it, not only are they, you know, such a small percentage of the population, but that small percentage of people is going out there and they're carrying the load. They're carrying the load for the...
I think more of that
for the
information
nation.
needs to be put out. I don't think people, I know I had no idea. I would have thought more than that, much more.
Yeah. There's only
Yeah.
2 boot camps in the Marine Corps.
You know, even during the height of the...
There's only 2 boot camps?
In the Marine Corps.
in the Marine Corps. Well, there's an officer boot camp at Quantico,
Right.
Virginia.
Right.
But the number is very small proportion to the population.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how you guys do it. It's a great...
Yeah.
The veterans, you know, and the things they do, and they continue to serve. Most of them continue to serve. That's just like you. You know, they may take off the uniform, but they never put up the commitment. And all
Yes.
these guys still have the commitment to their country. And that's what's unique about Vietnam.
Let me
You
tell
know, the thing about the popularity of the Vietnam War is not degrade the service and sacrifice of those who serve.
Yes, yes.
We need to focus on that
Yes.
versus the unpopularity of the war. At the end of the day, the unpopularity of the war was created because of bad decisions in Washington. That war was won 3 times. And people, Americans just don't like to
It
lose.
didn't, and plus it was their fathers and sons and
Yeah.
daughters who were, and that is the part that
Yeah.
makes a difference to me. They gave their life. You know, they came back to no celebration.
Well, like I say, I discount the unpopularity and I focus on the services.
Services, that's good. Thank you. I will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
just today in San Diego, there's a Air Force soldier who was killed in Vietnam. He was shot down. His body came home in his services today in San Diego.
Oh, just came home?
Just came
oh
home.
my goodness.
Yeah. So while we're here today, his family is laying him to rest now. Finally. Yeah. Finally. But, you know, you talk about the brotherhood. So the Vietnam veteran with the 3 Purple Hearts that you interviewed, his name's Antonio Douglas, Gregory Antonio Douglas. So let me tell you about this brotherhood. So there's a police officer named John Norden who is here today with him. So John Norden was called to Antonio's home because Antonio had been victimized by a theft. And so as the police officer was talking to him, he noticed the Eagle Globe and Anchor, which is a Marine emblem, on his keychain. And he said, so were you a Marine? And he puts his head down and says, yeah. And he goes, why aren't you proud of it? What's wrong? And he goes, well, my last memory is coming home from Vietnam and being spit on and called a baby killer at the San Francisco airport, so I just don't tell people I'm a Marine.
That's why he told me he didn't tell people.
Yeah, that's why. But that brotherhood, that police officer was a Marine too. He had served.
Okay.
And as soon as he saw that emblem, that was his brother. That was no longer just a victim I'm taking a report from. That's now my brother. So that police officer that night came to my house, knocked on my door, and said, hey, James, I just met this Vietnam veteran. He needs some help. His morale's low. This is his last memory. I called about 3 or 4 other Marines. We made it happen. And this is his second big event that he's been to in the last few weeks.
Oh, wow.
And you could see you could just see his morale, his spirits lift.
Yeah.
But that's what the brotherhood is like.
It is. I've experienced that myself with just watching them interact. Yeah. So thank you.
It's a continuing legacy. It started in 1775.
Yep.
And that's been going on a few years.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm honored.
James.
Thank you.